And by the way, just a quick aside here. Mark Judge, my man. Ooh, that guy's a little shady. Like he's got some problems. And I think that like if you want to know like a real like if you want to know more about this guy, you have to prepare yourself before you look into it because it's like blah, blah, blah. Yeah. So I'm just gonna put that out there. So yeah, so we are aware of significant multiple house parties in the significant evidence of multiple house parties in Washington, D.C. area in the early 1980s, during which Brett Kavanaugh and Mark Judge and others would participate in the targeting of women with alcohol and drugs in order to allow a train of men to subsequently gang rape them. The letter read in part in an interview with Fox News Monday night. Kavanaugh flatly denied Avenatti's allegations, calling the claims about gang rape totally false and outrageous. He followed up with a Monday morning email that also contained serious and highly specific allegations against Kavanaugh. Yeah, so it's a little disturbing just to read that paragraph, and it's a G's moment. Yeah, so then he also tweets out, Brett Kavanaugh must also be asked about this entry in his yearbook, the FFFFFF 4th of July. We believe that stands for find them, French them, feel them, finger them, F them, forget them. That's apparently what that stands for. Is what the term the Devil's Triangle. Ugh, that doesn't sound good. Yeah. Perhaps Senator Grassley can ask him, and he sends off his tweet, #Basta. And yeah, I do apologize there for the little bit of adult content on the show. Very sorry about that. Yeah, but like this all muddies the waters a little bit considerably here. Avenatti's approach makes sense only for trying to drum up a media blitz, which he's proven himself very, 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 very apt at capturing headlines. But that isn't the point there. Are his clients ready to come forward, or have they made the deeply personal choice that they're not ready to do so? And is he still out here trying? Because right now, it's not about the clients. It's not about the clients. However many times you want to say that, it's not about the clients. It's about him. And it's about him tweeting all the stuff out. People are going, "Oh my God, Avenatti, how'd you find that out? You're so smart." It's not about appreciating victims. It's about appreciating Michael Avenatti, and that needs to change. So if either come forward and support your clients, or please just stop taking advantage of their stories. All right. So yeah, President Donald Trump, a man who has admitted to sexual assault, and has been accused of multiple instances of sexual improper behavior, ranging from attempted harassment to rape, spent his Tuesday morning dismissing the latest allegations of Deborah Ramirez as totally inebriated and all messed up. So yeah, that was before the UN General Assembly. Gotta love that. So where we'll get to that. Something funny there happened, but we'll get to that in a moment. But all right, so here is what a big boy president had to say on the matter.
Taxes, but they're good at one thing. That's obstruction and resisting and con. He's one of the highest quality people. You know, when he said that really what he was focused on was trying to be number one in his class at Yale, to me that was so believable. I understand college very well, and I understand being number one in your class, and I understand a lot of things. When he said that, I understood exactly what he was so truthful, and I think it came out. I mean, I hope it came out, but for the Democrats to be trying to make him into something, let's be nice about it, that he's not. He's a high-quality person. He's a great intellect. You're also not seeing him on his footing. This isn't his footing. He's never been here before. He's never had any charges like this. I mean, charges come up from 36 years ago that are totally unsubstantiated. I mean, you, as watching this, as the president of a great country, Colombia, you must say, how is this possible? 36 years ago, nobody ever knew about it, nobody ever heard about it, and now a new charge comes up, and she said, well, it might not be him, and there were gaps, and she said she was totally inebriated, and she was all messed up, and she doesn't know it was him, but it might have been him. Oh, gee, let's not make him a Supreme Court judge because of that. This is a con game.
Yeah, so it's a little bit of I do apologize there for like the scratching there of the audio, which sounded a little bit weird. But anyway, yeah, that's pretty much the big thing there that it's worth taking into account. So yeah, first he complimented Kavanaugh's academic success with the incredible quote. She then attacked Ramirez by name. He then attacked Ramirez, but who he did not refer to by her name. She said, well, it might not be him. Never said that. She said there were gaps. She was totally inebriated, but I think she was very confident in her story. Like, I don't know about you, but something tells me it was very confident. She was very confident in this story. So, yeah, according to journalist Jane Mayer, who helped break the Ramirez story, the alleged assault was at least somewhat known around the Yale campus at the time. Saying, quote, even if, saying, quote, and so it was, a classmate who heard about the time, told, sorry, I read that wrong. And so it was a classmate who heard about it at the time told me he has thought of it every time he's heard Kavanaugh's name for the last 35 years. Yeah, that's Mayer's response to this quote from Brett Kavanaugh on the Fox News interview that we will play for you in a minute.
If such a thing had happened, it would have been the talk of campus. The women I knew in college and the men I knew in college says it's inconceivable that I could have done such a thing.
Yeah, and Mayer's like, dude, literally the person who told me about this was on campus. And he says he thinks of it whenever he hears your name for like 35, and has been thinking of it for the past literally 35 years, which is incredible to me. Yeah, so Kavanaugh's first accuser, Dr. Christine Blasey Ford, once again is scheduled to testify about her experiences before the Senate Judiciary Committee on Thursday. Ramirez, however, has not thus far indicated whether she will do the same. All right, so now we move on to Brett Kavanaugh's college roommate. Yeah, longtime friends of the Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh have featured prominently in this desperate attempt to save his nomination. The judge's freshman year college roommate has a little bit of a different take there. This is what he has to say. I was Brett Kavanaugh's roommate at Yale University in the fall of 1983, freshman year for them. We shared a two-bedroom unit in the base room of Lawrence Hall on the old campus. Despite our living conditions, Brett Kavanaugh and I did not socialize on the first few days of freshman year. We talked about at night, as freshman roommates do, and I would see him as he returned from nights out with his friends. It is from this experience I concluded that although Brett was normally reserved, he was a notably heavy drinker, even by the standard of the time, and he became aggressive and belligerent when he was drunk, which is actually very interesting. Which is actually, it does fit with the story, and that's another independent corroboration about what we already know from this guy, James Roche, here so far, which is pretty interesting. So he goes on to say, even by the standard of the time, he became aggressive and again belligerent when he was drunk, referring to Kavanaugh. I did not observe the specific incident in question, but I do remember Brett frequently drinking excessively and becoming incoherently drunk. I became close friends with Deborah Ramirez shortly after we arrived at Yale. She stood out as being exceptionally honest and with a trusting manner. As we got to know each other, I discovered that Debbie was worried about fitting in. She felt everyone at Yale was very rich, smart, and very sophisticated, and then a Puerto Rican woman from a less privileged background, she was an outsider. Her response was trying hard to make friends and get along. Based on my time with Debbie, I believe her to be unusually honest and straightforward, and I cannot imagine her making this up. Keyword there, I cannot imagine her making this up. And she said, apparently, because there's a lot of interesting little tidbits and points of corroboration here. Yeah, so he pretty much paints a little bit of an outside picture. He's not a witness in the situation, but he paints a very clear picture that's like, okay, this guy is a little bit problematic here, to say the least. He has done a lot of drinking. He's done a lot of interactions with girls that maybe shouldn't. It's not good. Yeah, so he says, based on my time with Brett, I believe that he and his social circle were capable of the actions Debbie described. Interesting. I do not consider myself to be a political person. I have no political agenda. I have shared this information with a small number of reporters who have reached out to me directly because Debbie has a right to be heard, and I believe her. I have been asking for more detail and additional stories, but this is all I am comfortable sharing. If I could contribute more first-hand information, I would, but I may not be granting any more interviews or answering any more questions at this time. So that's from Peter Comp. And rarely do you get a statement where pretty much every word is very, very important to a very, very important story, which is interesting to say the least. So in the statement, we all know some of the most key points of corroboration there. I think you guys could all figure it out. Is when he talked about how drunk he was very consistently, and he became belligerent and aggressive when he was drunk, and he seemed to be always at parties. And this guy says, at least, he wouldn't be surprised if Kavanaugh did some of that stuff, just based on his actions at Yale. Yeah, so that's quite surprising. Based on my time with Debbie, I believe her to be unusually honest and straightforward, and I cannot imagine her making this up. Key stuff there. Even some of Kavanaugh's friends are now having second thoughts about him. Louisa Gary, who was featured in a $1.5 million Digital Crisis Watch ad last week supporting Kavanaugh's nomination, told the New Yorker she has never saw or heard anything like this. Says, I cannot dispute Ramirez's allegations, but I was not present. Gary and another classmate were among the many to remove themselves from a statement of support from Kavanaugh. And also, we are going to get now to our last story of the day. This is a good one. All right, Donald Trump, you may wonder why it's a little constricted right now in New York City. And that's because the UN General Assembly is in town, and Donald Trump is going to be speaking. It's a pretty big deal. And this is how it started off.
1 year ago, I stood before you for the first time in this grand hall. I addressed the threats facing our world, and I presented a vision to achieve a brighter future for all of humanity. Today, I stand before the United Nations General Assembly to share the extraordinary progress we've made. In less than 2 years, my administration has accomplished more than almost any administration in the history of our country. America's so true. Didn't expect that reaction, but that's okay.
Yeah, Trump. And they actually give him a round of applause. So, I mean, but that to me was really shocking.
America's economy is booming.
Yeah. So that's not the point there. But and then Fox News again cut off one tweet off the incident just before the moment a little after it began. It was like, in less than 2 years, my administration has accomplished more than any other in the history of our country. Cut. Let's cut that. Yeah, probably not a great time when the wing lines of a speech about how great you are gets taken as a hilarious joke by an audience filled with some of the most serious people on earth. So he's off to a great start there. Which, I mean, I got to give him a little bit of credit there. He actually took that pretty well. I mean, I don't know. This is like his aides have him on some sort of control. Like, he's been so, he's really been quite subdued about the Kavanaugh allegations. He's been quite subdued about this. And what I thought he would do is just, like, glower off into the room while everyone's laughing at him. Like curl his lips up, like he does that sometimes. But no, he actually took it as a joke, which to me was like pretty surprising. But afterwards, like, I hate it so much, so weird, awful. Yeah. So I mean, again, I guess you got to give him credit there. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a big announcement to make for the Spencer Walsh Radio Network. Global is back. We're ready for a release date announcement right now, and it is September 30th. Check it out. I highly encourage it. Global is back. September 30th. That's going to be very, very interesting. So I encourage you, go check it out, please. and soak it in. September 30th. September 30th. We're not